Fundraising was hard. There's no question about it. It is an ego crippling, slow, frustrating, self doubt creating process, especially because you're getting so many rolling rejections. With VCs, you're literally doing the same pitch on the go as you're taking no's. So you just got to bounce back from the face punch and then move forward. It's a numbers game. You got to get one yes, and you got to believe in yourself. And anyone can give you advice on, well, I believed in myself and then the dots came together. There's no formula. It sucks. It's brutal. You've just got to have grit and you've got to get lucky. And I raised some money in the past, but now I have to go raise more money. And I'm as scared as I was the first time around.
Welcome to the Speak as a Leader podcast, where you learn how to speak fearlessly on stage, on camera, or in person. I'm Nausheen, a leadership communications coach from the Fortune 500 world. And on Speak as a Leader, I talk to leaders from corporate giants like Google, IBM, and Amazon to startup founders, visionaries, TEDx speakers, and even leaders who've worked at the Pentagon. You will get to know how these leaders learned the art and science of speaking fearlessly on any stage. Let's get started. Varun Puri is the co-founder at Yoodli, one of my favorite AI tools that improve how you actually speak in public. Yep, those exist. He's also an ex-Googler, and he was named a Forbes 30 under 30. And when you see him in the podcast, you'll know exactly why. I have never met anyone quite as charming, authentic, humble, and precise in his communication. We talk about how AI can help you become a better speaker. And by the way, this is absolutely unsponsored content. I'm actually a really big fan of this AI tool myself, and I wanted to genuinely uncover the story behind its invention and the story of its young founder. Let's get into it. Thank you so much, Varun, for being here on the Speak as a Leader podcast. I have been looking forward to this for a long time because I am an avid user and fan of the product that you're building. So I can't wait to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. I am honored to be here and I'm very excited to speak with you. As you know, I've been trying to bug you on LinkedIn for years now, and I've been following your work forever. So this is a little bit of a dream come true for me.
You're so kind. Flattery just gets you everywhere. Very, very kind. So I'm going to give you a challenge, maybe like one of the Yoodli challenges. And for those of you who don't know what Yoodli is, you're going to find out. So this could be a Yoodli challenge. I would love for you to tell us in, let's say, a minute about your entrepreneurship journey.
I'll give you the quick Varun story. It is, I grew up in India. I came to the US for college. Went to a small liberal arts college, joined Google right after, where I ran special projects for Sergey Brin, one of the founders. Super fun job, lots of learning opportunities. I then worked at Google X, where they work on early stage R&D technology. So self-driving cars, laser-powered internet, drones, etc. Again, learned a bunch, always wanted to start my own thing. And I said, if I don't shoot my shots in my 20s, I'm probably doing something wrong. So I impulsively quit. We are yet to find out if that's a good idea. But my dream is, can I build technology to help people speak with confidence? And that's the backstory behind Yoodli. So I've been doing it for a year and a half now.
Super exciting. I love that. This is something that I immediately connected with you on because for me, speaking better, speaking with high impact, and basically just speaking as the best version of myself has always ranked pretty high on my list of priorities. But as I talk to more and more people, I realize that's not always the case. People ask me, Nausheen, why should I bother speaking better? So I want to throw that question at you. Why choose this particular field? What's so important about speaking better?
I mean, look, everyone has their own personal stories with this. Now, through Yoodli, I've spoken to people who've had stutters and stammers and not gotten the date they deserve or not gotten the promotion they deserve. My passion story behind this is I grew up in India. We don't have public speaking or speech coaching as part of our curriculum. I came to the US. I struggled with my speaking, right? We're non-native English speakers. English is a second language. And I just think there are so many people in the world who don't get opportunities that they deserve because they don't back themselves while speaking. And it's a ubiquitous universal problem, all the way from the introvert in college who makes the slides and deserves the A grade, but the extrovert does the presentation and gets the credit, to the person in corporate America who deserves a promotion but gets talked over in meetings, to the founder who has the killer idea but isn't able to raise money. I think it's an access to opportunity thing. And Grammarly has done this to writing, Duolingo has done it to language learning. My dream, I don't know if we can make it a reality, fingers crossed, is we can use technology to help millions, hopefully billions of people be the best communicators they can be to succeed professionally and personally.
I love that response because very often we've been told, especially as we grew up, we've been told, build it and they'll come. Your work should speak for itself. You don't need to go out there and flaunt things. You don't need to be so extra about your own accomplishments. Stay humble. The loudest ones are the ones that have nothing to say. So with all of this pressure to just let your work speak for yourself, it's really interesting that you're noting how the introverts, or the ones that feel shy or timid, nervous, are the ones that get left behind. Not because they're not doing the work, but they're not putting in enough effort in actually showcasing the work. I'm glad that now, at least I feel like it's no longer taboo to say great things about the work that you're doing if you're proud of it. Because why shouldn't you? Why should you force yourself into some version of humility and shy behind your work if you are proud of it? You can be confident about it.
I would add that they're not mutually exclusive, right? I still hope people retain their humility and their authentic selves. The idea behind Yoodli is to just give them the confidence to speak with confidence whenever they speak. This could be for 3 minutes, for 5 minutes, for 1 minute. There are too many people who don't even do that. My goal is not to build the loudest voices in the room or make everyone an obnoxious extrovert like me. If I've done that, I've probably failed. It's more to give you your own voice and that sense that if somebody else is doing it, you can as well.
When I first start working with clients, I ask them to do a self-assessment of their communication skills. And in that survey, there's a question that asks them, what are the 3 things you want to be known for? And there are a number of different things. People choose a different combination each time: engaging, confident, authoritative, knowledgeable. The one thing that 100% of people choose is authentic. Doesn't matter if it's a corporate exec, it doesn't matter if it's an entrepreneur or a C-suite person, they choose authentic. And it's such a great point that you've brought up, because a lot of people feel intimidated by the amount of work they think they have to do to become better speakers. And I feel like sometimes their comfort zone pulls them back with this label of authenticity. And it tells them that, oh, you just need to be yourself. Keep being yourself. It's okay if you use these filler words. That's natural. It's okay if you can't maintain eye contact. That's unnatural. Who looks people in the eye all the time? It's okay if you don't always know the right things to say at the right time, because that's also natural. There is this disconnect between being so-called natural and authentic and being the best speaker that you can be while still being yourself.
Totally. And I think, to your point, authenticity is often used to justify a low bar for performance. I think of authenticity as when I go to Starbucks in the US, I tell people my name is Varun, not Bob, and they mess up the spelling, and I'm okay with that. That's my authentic self. I don't have a fake accent. But that doesn't mean when I'm speaking to somebody else, I should be rambling on or sound really unconfident or not be able to communicate with clarity. If I'm doing that and that's my authentic self, well, my authentic self has room to improve.
Right. Just because you are one way, it doesn't mean that you're the perfect version of that. So that's a great way to define authenticity for yourself. But I would also say if someone wants to change their accent, someone wants to change their name, if someone wants to pick the attributes from their personality to represent their personal brand and not always show every single thing, that's also okay. It's really your own definition of it that matters. So I love that. I love that little philosophical note that we started the conversation on. But now let's get back to the really exciting stuff, which is AI. We're both fans of AI. We both have tech in our backgrounds. Believe it or not, I was a computer science major back in undergrad. I have left that a little bit far behind, but at heart, I'm always a nerd. I'll always be a nerd. So it's also one of the things that immediately excited me about you, what you're building, what you're passionate about. So how did it get to AI? Why did you choose AI as the solution for helping people speak better?
It's a really good question. And I think first thing to note is people often ask me about AI. I'm not attached to it. My goal behind Yoodli is to help people build their confidence. So first and foremost, we're a confidence company, then we're a communication company, and then we're an AI company. I think AI could be the solution. And even if AI isn't, if we build a marketplace where we connect people to coaches, where we build a mirror for people to look at themselves and cringe and improve, that's completely okay. To your original question of why AI, I think we are at an inflection point as a society where technology has got to the point where it can give people meaningful feedback on their content structure and delivery. Um, Probably not at human level performance, but at pretty good performance. And that's why I'm excited about AI. So now when I practice my speeches on Udly, AI is at a point where it can tell me, Varun, slide 6 just didn't seem right. Or Varun, when you were talking about your introduction, you just didn't make eye contact. Consider doing it again. Or hey, you were rambling when you were talking about your experience. Here's a way you could be more concise. This was not possible up until a few years ago.
It is every single time that I've used Yoodli, I have always been impressed, especially by the interview feature, which for those of you who haven't tried it, just the fact that the platform, the AI prompts you for different questions, and then it listens to your questions, it listens to your responses, and then asks you follow-up questions based on that. Just that was mind-blowing for me because, yeah, you can ask ChatGPT to give you a list of question prompts and you can just practice those by yourself. That's just like 1/3 of the actual practice you need to be doing. So it is really exciting how far AI has come and how much help it can really provide you. And going back to your entrepreneurship journey for a minute, the first thing that any coach would think of if they see it when they come across Yoodli, they could have been very upset, very pissed off, thinking that what? An AI platform thinks it can replace me. They want to be the next AI speech coach. That's not happening. But you, in a stroke of genius, came up with this marketing strategy or community building strategy of actually partnering with people who might have been the biggest opposers to your brand. How intentional was that and how is that going?
First of all, I don't know if it's a stroke of genius. It's really what I believe, right? I think that have been, I'm not, so as context for folks who don't know what Yoodli is, Yoodli is an AI powered speech coach that gives you private, real time, and judgment free feedback on the way you communicate. This could be on a date, a job interview, a roundtable discussion, before a TED talk, before a salary negotiation, during this call where Yoodli is giving me real time alerts to slow down, to not ramble, etc. There have been products before Yoodli that have tried to do something similar. And a lot of their messaging is come to our product and we'll make you Steve Jobs tomorrow. Or come to our product and it's better than the performance that a human coach has. Philosophically, I disagree with that approach for two reasons. First, I think speaking is deeply subjective and nuanced and human. And I think technology will get pretty good, but it's always meant to be a human thing. Technology needs to aid and augment the work of human coaches and maybe even scale it to help them become more effective. But I don't think tech can take you from a level 8 to a 10. It can take you from a level 0 to a level 6. But after that, you've got to work with another human, at least for the next, God knows, 100 years where communication is human to human. The second piece of it is I think it would just be a mistake. There are thousands of coaches around the world speech coaches, TED coaches, sales trainers, debate instructors, media trainers, L&D professionals who are already doing this work. Why don't I use my tech to help them out rather than them seeing me as competition? I think of Yoodli as TurboTax if the coach is an accountant, as the medical report if the coach is a doctor, a power drill if the coach is the electrician. We are here to help you. And in that vein, my pitch to coaches is always Udly will help you get more clients, save time, and do all of the boring workflow automation so you can do your job better. And I had a lot of skepticism at first, but I think now as I've developed relations with coaches and they've seen the platform firsthand, people are starting to believe me. But fingers crossed, I still have a lot of haters out there.
I still think it's a stroke of genius because you're building the platform with people that are going to become or are already advocates of the brand and the platform. And you're building it not just for the end consumer, who's definitely benefiting, the people that actually want to get better at speaking, but you're building it for others who can help the end consumer and really amplifying and magnifying that effect. So really living up to the promise that you told me about, that you're first and foremost a confidence company. I believe it. And it's really something that I live through because I've started working with my clients and using Udly for that, for the work that I ask them to do in between our sessions. And I don't even tell them too much about the platform. This might interest you to know that what I do is I have a very short video that I've recorded that I share with all of them that just shows them how to use Udly to practice speaking. And then they go and discover the platform by themselves. And they're like, oh, Nausheen, did you know it has its exercises as well? And I can do those. And, ooh, it also does this. And it shows me all these analytics. And it's really like someone discovering the joy of AI. And that's really what I love because there's such polarity right now with AI. There is this, of course, this wave of people that love AI and that want to just talk about AI all the time. And then, of course, there are the naysayers who just don't see it, don't like it, don't see the possibilities, or see it as completely negative. And I've never understood the naysayers, but I see them everywhere.
I mean, totally. It's a scary point in the history of the world as well. I think while I'm a hopeless optimist and I believe AI can be used to help people speak with confidence, there are obvious negative uses. For instance, now in a matter of seconds, somebody can write a blog post about a war between two countries, and in an equal amount of time, they can come up with a photo showing a nuclear bomb be launched, and then within seconds distribute that to millions of people. And it all looks realistic, and it's very hard to tell the difference between a human written or a human drawn article as compared to something drawn by AI, which is why I think entrepreneurs, early adopters, people who are passionate about it have a responsibility to harness this technology for good, or at least approach it with humility, knowing that it's a black box that could go in any direction.
The humility part, I really resonate with that because that's really what new tech is all about. I was just looking up quotes today for another post that I did on AI, how incredibly wrong people have been about these incredibly huge tech things that have changed our lives. People never believed in them from the first time that they were invented, all the way from the telephone to mobile phones to the internet, you know it, to TVs, to Netflix, to everything that is now really big. There were the naysayers who came first, and then the tech and the early adopters then somehow proved them wrong for the stuff that really lasted. Do you see any negative connotations or any negative repercussions of using AI to speak better, to improve the way that you speak?
Yes. And I think if anybody said otherwise, they'd be lying. The problem is I don't know how people will take it, right? There's always opportunity for misuse. For instance, with Udly, there's a world in which people just try speaking with all of the AI recommendations and start speaking like a robot. That's the opposite of my goal, and I'm very nervous about it. People often ask me, Varun, why doesn't Udly give me a speaking score at the end of how I did? Or why doesn't Udly tell me how to speak like an American? That's not my passion. Shame on me if I make everyone speak the same way. But technology is at the point where it could essentially do that. Or Varun, as I'm speaking, why can't Udly correct my voice and make me sound like someone? That technology is already there. And if somebody wanted to do it, they could. It's just an ideological thing. And I'm sure there will be founders who think that's a great idea and can make a lot of money doing it. And we'll see what the ramifications are.
That's a great point, because in the beginning, it's actually something that we encourage as coaches. We encourage people to go out and find different kinds of talks, keynotes, speeches that they resonate with, that they like, and also stuff they don't like, so that they have a very clear idea of what kind of tools these speakers are using. I ask them to peel back the curtain. I ask my clients to figure out, is the speaker using their voice well? Are they modulating their voice? Are they using pauses at specific points in time? How are they controlling their pacing? How are they engaging with the audience? What kind of questions are they asking? What can you learn? So there's a lot that you can learn from these great speakers. Of course, we don't want to learn in isolation when people have learned so much through experience and they're sharing with us literally through these YouTube videos that you can find of any of these great speakers. So it's a great point that you're making, that there's a fine line between taking inspiration from great speakers and using AI to try to replicate that for you, which I can see that. I can see that happening, because I can see how you could mold and shape AI to get that to happen for you. And if you don't have a human or someone interjecting and saying, wait a minute, you have to draw a line between taking inspiration and then finding your own voice. That's the route a lot of people can go on. And for me, it really speaks to the tools that you can master, all the things that Udly coaches people on, versus that inner confidence that you would still need to work on. I don't really know if AI can help you with that inner confidence.
I mean, totally. A lot of people ask me, what's the idea behind Yoodli? If I reduce my filler words, will I get better? If I ramble a little less, will I be a more confident speaker? My underlying belief is the only way to improve is to record yourself and watch yourself and cringe and do that 3 more times. The problem is people hate watching themselves on camera. It's like, oh my God, I got this pimple. I haven't shaved. I sound like that. I hate the sound of my voice. My life sucks. Blah, blah, blah. We've all been there. We know this person. We've been this person. And the idea behind Udly is, how do I demystify that process? For instance, the way professional athletes get better is they look at their highlight reel. When Ronaldo has made a mistake, the coach will show him his reel, and Ronaldo will say, at minute 45, I should have bent the ball at 45 degrees. I bent it at 80 degrees, as an example. I think what we do with Udly is we show you all of these things. Hey, you had filler words here, and you went very fast here, and you could have slowed down here. What we are doing is making it much more palatable for you to watch yourself back and then do the speech 3 more times. That's it. You do it 3 times, it'll feel a lot more natural to you and you'll be better prepared. So I think Udly is a trick to get you to believe in yourself. And I have no shame in admitting that.
It's a great trick, and it works. You're proving it every day with the experiences of the users, the testimonials that you're getting, and the success stories that you're gathering.
We're still just in our earliest days. We're on the ground floor. Hopefully we can make this a much bigger reality soon.
I love that it really does do exactly what you're saying that it does. And it's funny, for anyone listening, this is absolutely not a sponsored podcast. I'm not getting paid by Yoodli at all. But this is exactly the strategy that I follow with my clients, where I tell them that you have to do the work. You have to put in the minutes and the hours of practicing your speaking, but you can't just practice blindly. A lot of people come to me and they say, yeah, Nausheen, before a big speech, I will go and practice in front of a mirror. And they don't realize that's the worst thing you can do, because it's not natural. Usually you don't look at yourself when you're speaking. And if you do, you are distracting yourself. That is not going to help you get better. What will help you get better is guided and strategic practice. Because otherwise, you're just concretizing all the bad habits. If you're used to saying you'll say it 20 more times with more and more conviction the more you practice it in. Why would you do that to yourself? And I see it really well when I have people come to me with very practiced and rehearsed speeches. So the fact that Udly is providing that guidance is the actual game changer, because it's not just an empty Zoom window that you're recording things into. It's giving you that guidance as or after you're speaking. So this is an interesting point. There is a way to use Udly to give yourself instant interactive feedback, which is what Varun has actually been doing throughout this call. And there is a way to use it to give yourself feedback after the fact. Have you gotten user data on what's more effective?
I think there's no one boat that works for everyone. Essentially, just backing up a little bit, there are three ways by which a user can interact with Udly. The first is I've already done a speech and I have a recording or a video. I upload it to Udly and get analytics after the fact. The second is I come to Udly and I have a conversation with Udly or I speak into Udly and then Udly gives me feedback. And the third is Udly is like my friend or my spouse who's with me anytime I'm speaking. Right? On this call, it's poking me, Varun, slow down. Or Varun, you've cracked that joke 5 times. That's the ethos of it. This private buddy that just has your back and tells you when you're messing up. There are different places in which Udly is helpful for different folks. For instance, if I am a corporate professional, I likely don't have time to practice. It's too much work and I hate practicing. I also might have a speech once a quarter at my quarterly all hands meeting. In that case, I'll go and practice on Udly before that once a quarter meeting, and I may not do that again. However, what's more valuable for me as a corporate professional is to sound confident anytime I'm speaking, which is why I use the Udly desktop app on all of my calls. When I'm on a recruiting call, an investor call, I've got to be on my A game. And having these gentle nudges is beyond valuable. And that's how I use it on a day to day basis. There are yet others, like coaches, who use Udly as a review tool to leave their clients with time-stamped feedback or suggestions on how to improve. Anyhow, that's a long-winded answer of saying every learner has their own methodology, and I don't want to prescribe one to everyone.
That's fair. Me, for one, I really dislike instant feedback. For me, it's very distracting. But I can totally see how, if you can work that into your workflow, if you can get used to that, it can be very, very helpful. I'm the kind of person who likes reflecting on things after doing them. I do them, and I want people to get better at doing them, regardless of the platform, regardless of the software, regardless of the environment. So that's why, for me, it makes a lot of sense to use Udly or an AI platform to look at the performance afterwards and then figure out what can be done better for next time. And coming back to the entrepreneurship journey for a bit, because I love talking about that, and especially because you're doing it at such a young age. You've actually had, the opposite journey from me, because you mentioned how you had to take those chances in your 20s. And I really did it the opposite way. I had a safe corporate job for most of my 20s, did not get out of my comfort zone at all, lived life by the book, and then became an entrepreneur in my mid-30s for the first time. And now I'm an entrepreneur again when I'm going to be 40 this year. So absolutely the opposite journey. So young entrepreneurs really, really excite and interest me. Tell me about how easy or difficult was it to raise capital, to get investors interested?
First off, happy early birthday. That's very exciting. And you also made so many fun moves in your life. But moving to France is so baller, and giving all of these TED Talks is also very cool. It's hard, I won't lie. I think we all have our Achilles heels. Mine has been my immigration status. I'm an Indian passport holder. I was on an H-1B visa in the US, which means you're attached to an employer. The deck is stacked against you if you want to start your own company. I was privileged enough where I was at a big enough company that would sponsor my visa, but still, how was I to do that? So one of my big risks was leaving Google to start my own thing when immigration was up in the air. The second is telling my story to investors, both with the immigrant question mark as well as the lack of experience question mark. What do I know about starting a company? And what do I know about speech coaching? I'm not a speech coach. I'm not an expert. I've just seen the problem a little bit. Fundraising was hard. There's no question about it. It is an ego crippling, slow, frustrating, self doubt creating process, especially because you're getting so many rolling rejections. In the morning, I'll pitch to some investor, I'll get a no. In the afternoon, I'll do the same pitch to another investor and I'll get a no, or even worse, they'll ghost me. And it's unlike other rejections you get in your life. For instance, when you apply to college, you apply to all of the colleges at once, and then all of the rejections come through, and then you'll get one acceptance. Or, when I ask a girl out, she might say no to me, and then I'll sulk for a little while, and then I'll go ask another girl out. With VCs, you're literally doing the same pitch on the go as you're taking no's. So you just got to bounce back from the face punch and then move forward. It's a numbers game. You got to get one yes, and you got to believe in yourself. And anyone can give you advice on, well, I believed in myself, and then the dots came together. There's no formula. It sucks. It's brutal. You've just got to have grit and you've got to get lucky. And I raised some money in the past, but now I have to go raise more money, and I'm as scared as I was the first time around.
Thanks for the honesty there. That's really the true, raw, vulnerable response that I've definitely seen a lot of entrepreneurs with a vision go through. What was it that got you through it? What, after the first however many rejections, what made you go into that 20th or 30th pitch where you heard your first yes?
I mean, not to toot my own horn, but it's such a good idea. Like, this is such a big problem. Someone has got to solve it. I'm so convinced. I'm hoping it's me. But if it's not me, someone else is going to solve it. This is an absolute no brainer. It's just hard to build a business around because you need to convince people they have a problem. You need to deal with behavior change, but it's just a matter of time. And I think I'm so hopelessly delusional and certain of that fact that that's what's keeping me going. 2 out of 3 people are afraid of public speaking. Or when I went and I pitched to investors, I was like, I can talk to you about market size and whatnot, but it doesn't matter. Like, you know this problem, I know this problem. Your friend had this problem at their best man pitch. Your spouse had this problem during their first work presentation. Let's just go solve it. We'll figure out how to make money. And maybe that's naive, and now I'm trying to figure out how to make money, but it's got to work. I don't understand.
So how would you make money?
I have no idea. I'm figuring it out. My hope is I can build a really freaking good product, get millions of people to use it, and then charge them a little bit a month.
Or subscription-based speaking coaching. I can see that working.
The devil is in the detail, though. So we're trying to figure out monetization now.
That's fair. Would you say that you're now in a better position that you're going to go and raise more funds because you've had a lot more users who've used the product? How are you getting data from that and using that to strengthen your case?
Yes and no. Am I in a better position? Sure, in theory I am. Like, I'm a lot more dangerous than the Varun a year and a half ago. I've learned so much more about startup life and made a million mistakes and whatnot. But the stakes are much higher, right? If I go to raise money, I raised 7 million for our seed round. I'll be raising likely a lot more money where I've got to show way higher returns, and a couple 100,000 users is not sufficient. It's what's the $1 billion business plan? And that wasn't the question at the first fundraise. So it's hard in different ways. To your second question of how are we using data, the idea behind Yoodli is to be a truly personalized speech coach. So the kind of feedback that I need is different from the kind of feedback that you might desire. Yoodli learns from your learning goals and your objectives and gives you the kind of feedback that you would care about. For instance, I'm a kid in India. I want to speak like Gandhi. Great. Yoodli learns from my speaking and benchmarks me to Gandhi, not to someone like Obama. And then Yoodli gives me specific drills on how to improve and then matches me with a coach who understands speaking patterns from kids in India. So it's the same way as maybe Facebook's a bad example because they are so creepy. Facebook in your newsfeed surfaces recommended friends and photos you should see, but it's using machine learning to learn from your behavior to give you the best possible experience. And we, in our small little way, are trying to do the same thing.
Okay, that's a way to tell me what the platform is using your data for to improve your own skills, right? I was also interested in knowing how you're getting some case studies or success stories at the back end to then strengthen your case for investors.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think we're doing a good job at that. For instance, Toastmasters International, which is the world's largest speaking organization, is rolling out Udly to over 300,000 members globally and to millions of alumni. So we've got data points on here's how Toastmasters are improving their speaking using quantitative data over time. Or we have thousands and thousands of speech coaches using Udly. We've got testimonials, data points, how their pricing has changed, how they've been able to scale their business because of Udly. And hopefully those kinds of impact stories will help with the fundraise as well.
That's really exciting. For me, there's nothing more satisfying than actually seeing someone go through a transformation, than actually seeing someone who's shy or timid or nervous or whose mind goes blank when they have to be on stage or on camera, and then seeing them transform into someone who thinks speaking is not that big a deal. I can do it. Maybe I'm not going to be perfect at it. I'm not going to walk away from every opportunity thinking like I smashed that, but I am capable of doing it. And the tools that they're learning along the way through coaching and through AI in this case, they absolutely work towards that. They absolutely work towards that positive self-talk, which really, for me, forms the basis of that confidence.
Totally. I mean, it's so empowering when I wake up in the morning and open my email, and I have emails from folks who are like, Varun, I landed my dream job because of Yoodli. Thank you. Or public speaking was my biggest nightmare. I quit a job because my manager asked me to speak. And, I'm by no means the world's best speaker now, but I'm really confident. Or Varun, it was my life's dream to give a TED talk. And because I practiced on Yoodli, I got there. And that's what gets me out of bed, especially through all of the face punches and all of the existential life questions.
Super encouraging. Tell me more about your TED Talk, because I remember that this was the first, I don't know how we would qualify that, but I think you have done your research. This is the first TEDx talk that was scripted by AI and coached by AI. And you did this not too long ago. So tell me about the process of how did you develop it?
Yeah, the backstory is at Google, they have this concept called dog fooding, which is eat your own dog food before you give it to the world. And I'm a big believer that I've got to be using Udly all the time and see improvement in my speaking if I want to convince millions of people to use it, which is why, again, I'm talking quickly. I should slow down, which is why I'm using Udly on my calls when I prepare, etc. I struggled with public speaking growing up, and I said it would be really cool if I could give a TED talk, which is for many people their life's dream, about my story with Udly and how artificial intelligence can help you be a better speaker, or more specifically, how generative artificial intelligence or generative AI can help. So, to the best of my knowledge, this was the first TED talk scripted by AI. I don't think the technology was available before that. So, Udly wrote part of my speech, helped me rephrase, add jokes, etc. And then I practiced it completely on Udly with how do I improve my eye contact? Where do I pause for emphasis? What are sections where I can be more concise in? And I use Udly maybe 100 times to prepare for that talk. And it's a very meta talk because it's a talk about Udly, coached by Udly, given by the founder of Udly. So it's by no means the world's best TED talk or anything, but give it a watch if folks are interested.
It's a great concept. I loved it. I was being drawn in by that very specific meta marketing. So when you were in the process of rehearsing for it, did you also rehearse in front of your friends or your family? Did you have that human contact or feedback at all?
I didn't, because I wanted this to be an AI coached talk, which is why if you see any mistakes in the talk, it's likely because AI wasn't good enough to give me that feedback.
And have you gotten feedback from people since then? And how has that been?
To be honest, people have given me feedback here and there saying it's good. I thought the talk was mediocre. My biggest piece of feedback was I just came across so stiff and so intense on stage. The content doesn't matter. When I look at a talk, the only thing that matters is this speaker cool? Like, would I want to get drinks with them? Do I want to be friends with them? And when I saw myself on stage, I was like, Varun, you need to go chill out. Like, you look so serious and you look like such a douchebag right now. So, anyhow, that's my self critique. Hopefully, when I do one in the future, I will be a lot more relaxed. And again, AI couldn't coach me on Varun, you were too stiff. Hopefully, we can one day, but not yet.
That would be definitely that next level of AI coaching. So if you could enter in or tell it the desired attributes that you want to portray. But did you even know that? For example, when you were rehearsing, did you have it in your mind that you want to come across as someone who's laid back or someone that you'd want to go out for drinks with? Or did that not even enter your mind till you watched it back?
I did, because I live and breathe in this world, in this speech coaching world. Like, I speak to 10 speech coaches a day. I'm watching thousands of speeches every day. There are some speakers I admire, like Brené Brown, because they are relaxed. So I knew that was my goal, but I lost the plot before the speech. It's part of learning, I guess.
Always part of the learning. I love that you're always so honest and humble about all these experiences. I think it really makes you, of course, as a person, but also the platform more realistic. And it really comes back to that first point that we were talking about, that using AI or even using speech coaching is not about turning you into some perfect robotic version that never makes mistakes, that has no filler words, has no false starts, because that would be weird. It's really about being that self, being your best self.
My hope with Yoodli is I want this to be fun and light and playful, and I want it to represent our company culture and the way we operate. For instance, when you use a platform, we have jokes scattered across the board. When you give a speech, it's like, "Hey Varun, did you know you sounded like Elon Musk?" Or our team keeps adding these like fun jokes. For instance, when I'm on a call, I get one like, "Hey Varun, remember to smile, you're looking too serious." And then I just chuckle. Or, "Why did the speaker cross the road to get to the podium?" It's so silly. But if we can get to a world where people are just comfortable laughing at themselves or having fun, or when you use a tool, here's a fun one I saw on our platform the other day. Our designer is very good at this. When you come for the first time, Yoodli says, "Hey, your bathroom mirror can't tell you how well you spoke, but we can." And I was like, that's so funny. I just want to hang out with this product. So we're trying to infuse that personality into it. And I think that people are also more forgiving, right? Technology is not perfect. We make mistakes, but at least people can see we're trying.
And that's also a little meta, right? Because you are, in a way, encouraging people to be themselves. If you're, as a platform, saying that we're not taking ourselves that seriously, neither should you. You could be yourself and crack that joke if you want. Humor is a hard one. It's a very hard one to get right, especially if you're writing it for a huge audience that you might never see. So it's very cool that you guys are adding that into the platform. So we've talked a little bit about this throughout our conversation in terms of where AI is going, what is the future of AI, especially when it comes to coaching, especially when it comes to speaking coaching. Where do you see it in general? Where do you see AI going, let's say, in the next 5 years? So give ourselves a nice long chunk of time. In 5 years, where do you see AI in terms of helping people become better speakers?
It's a good question. I talked a little bit about this in my TEDx talk. I'm convinced we are moving to a world where information and content is commoditized. What that means is, if I am in a McKinsey interview and someone asks me a question, my AI will be able to show me the right answer immediately. How many balls in a ping pong balls in a Boeing 747? Or if I'm a car salesman at Ford and someone asks me, why should we buy this car? Boom, AI will immediately tell me the last 10 cars she bought and her purchasing history and how I should pitch it. What that means is, as we move to a world of information overload, the way we communicate our ideas is what's going to separate top performers from the rest of the crowd more so than ever, which is why I think tools like Yoodli are even more important. Where I see Yoodli going, hopefully we can crack it, is to be truly personalized, to understand where you struggle and where you're good, and to be that voice of reason or that friend to you, where I'm in a board meeting saying something silly and Yoodli just nudges me saying, "Varun, stop talking right now." Like, you're literally making things worse for yourself. That's it. It's the same thing that my co-founder does, right? She'll kick me under the table when I need to stop talking. And if Yoodli can do that well, I think we would have helped a lot of people in any kind of conversation.
I love that. And I love that analogy of the family member or someone close to you giving you that feedback that you really needed to hear. When I was doing my first TEDx talk, I subjected my husband to the talk maybe about 15 times, at the end of which he basically gave up and said, Nausheen, you're fine. Just stop it. Stop it. I don't want to hear it ever again. He didn't even come. He hasn't been to any of my talks because he says, what's the point? I know it all by heart. I can tell you the talk as well. I can say it with you. So I love that the platform, that AI is at a point where it can make us feel more independent. As much as we love our family members and friends, you can't always have someone watch you when you rehearse. You can't always rely on someone's feedback. First of all, it's going to be biased, and you only have one data set that that person has. And secondly, just getting time from people. Hey, I have an interview tomorrow. Can you help me practice? It's hard. And if you don't have that support system, you don't have a friend or a family member willing to help you out, you're not going to practice. So just the fact that it makes you that much more independent, that much more self-sufficient, and takes away all the excuses to not practice is, for me, a huge selling point.
Actually, one thing that I'll add here, I'm going to stop my Yoodli so I can tell you my statistics. I want to change the notion of practice. People hate practicing. What my Apple Watch has done beautifully is it says, Varun, you didn't go to the gym, that's fine. Anytime you're walking, you're working out. And hey, you walked 200 steps today, here's how you did. And that's what we're trying to do with Yoodli, which is, Varun, it's okay, you didn't practice, you didn't, whatever, record yourself. Anytime you're speaking, Yoodli is by your side. And by the way, here's how you did today. When you spoke, you interrupted women more than men. You were way more nervous in your team meetings versus your individual meetings. And gosh, I would pay for insights like that at the end of the day. Like, hopefully, a lot of people would pay for that. Anyhow, so on this call, here's some fun stuff. Oh, my analytics are still loading. I had 12 monologues, which is okay. I was a listener. I was supposed to be doing most of the talking. I spoke for 51% of the call. I had several opportunities to be more concise. I had a couple filler words, not too many. Like is my filler word of choice, and I talked faster than typical average. Okay, that makes sense. But something for me to be aware of. When I get too excited and passionate, I talk too quickly, and maybe it was suitable for this setting, but if I was at a funeral, I probably shouldn't be talking at this pace.
That's fair. I will share it with you as well because you've been so kind in sharing your stats. I don't have the stats with me right now, but I know that through using private Yoodli, the AI helped me understand that I have a pattern of repeating things. So I don't have a lot of filler words, which is great, and I've worked on that in the past, but I repeat specific words without needing to. I just do it in a very random way, in a very kind of practiced way, right? Badly practiced way. So that's something that I've definitely become more aware of. And it's great just having this awareness. That's always the first step. That's how I coach people on getting rid of filler words. The first thing you have to do is become aware of what filler words you're using and when you're using them so that you're making sure your mind understands when it's going to get tempted to use that filler word. And then you can put in place a strategy to eventually stop. Something else I really liked. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say repetitions are super interesting. A lot of people are surprised by it because when we speak and we are thinking, rather than pausing, we say the same word back to back. So you're not alone. I have the same problem.
And the weird part is, I love pausing. I pause all the time. I teach pausing. So it was really a revelation for me realizing that, oh, Nausheen, you thought you were really good at pausing, but you actually need to pause more than you thought was necessary. So always great to have those kinds of stats. The other thing that I really loved about what you said is that you can and you should be thinking of every single speaking opportunity as practice. People often think that public speaking is just about delivering those formal talks. How many times in your life are you going to do that? But if you can improve your speaking skills, you're going to improve your everyday life. You're going to improve your work life and your relationships. So absolutely thinking of every single time that you're speaking, whether it's to a single person, whether it's to a group of people, whether it's to your friends or your teammates, it's an opportunity to get better at speaking. And if you're investing time and effort into it, it'll always, always pay off, regardless of whether you ever get a chance to be on a big stage or not.
That's the hope.
Awesome. Great note to end on, Varun. Thank you again so much for coming on the podcast. Do you want people to reach out to you in any specific way, or would you just say they should go and check out Yoodli.ai?
Yeah, there are a couple things. This is the only part where I'll be schmoozy and do some product promotion. Please check out Yoodli. It's at yoodli.ai, Yoodli. The product is free of cost. If you love it, spread the word. If you dislike it, tell us why. The way you can reach me and other members of our team is in our online community, where you can meet other speech coaches and experts such as Nausheen as well. That is at yoodli.ai/community. And then if you want to email me directly, I am at info@yoodli.ai.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Varun. This was an amazing conversation, and I wish you the best of luck with Yoodli.
Listen, thank you. And thank you for everything you are doing for the speech world. Anytime I look at your profile, I see hundreds of people talking about how you've changed their lives. So good on you.
Thank you. That's so kind. Hey, you're still here. Thanks for listening all the way till the end. I'm super grateful for your support. If you liked the episode, please take a few seconds to give us 5 stars on the platform that you're listening on. It would mean the world to me, and it will help more people discover Speak as a Leader. To know more about how I help leaders speak fearlessly, just go to nshin.com. That's N for Nausheen and Sheen like Martin and Charlie. See you in the next episode. Till then, speak fearlessly.